That's like
Dude, I do like
270,
500,
280.
and I don't even play the game professionally.
All right, enough of that, guys. We do have the countdown here starting, and that means that we got a game coming up. We've got FireZerg versus Imagine. It's our first game, first semifinals of the day. Here we go. Don't catch them all, Robin. I repeat, don't catch them all. All right, guys. Robin and I, we've been working on some secret codes, which I will unsecret for you. I'm going to WikiLeaks this one. Don't catch them all is a direct command that Robin's brain will accept, which means do not talk during the intro video or commercials. So
Yeah, man,
it's a pretty important one.
We're gonna try, since we only have to go through 3 series. We're gonna try and not have me talk during commercials, because it's just a nasty habit I have. So,
Well,
if I do, you have the right.
It's because you're so famous and awesome that by all rights you should be in those commercials, I feel.
Oh.
So, I mean, the fact that you're talking in them, to me, it's weirder that you're talking in them, but not actually... Ah, crap, I gotta change setting. But you're not actually, like, in the video part of it as well. That's what turns... or seems weird to me.
I know. I understand, man. I understand. Well, thank you, sir. So, let's go ahead and get the game going right meow. In the bottom right corner, guys, Anohana, it's going to be FireZerg, your orange Zerg player. Currently in the semifinals. Can he make it to the finals against his opponent? In the top left corner, going to be your purple Terran, our first Terran in semifinals in the last couple of WCGs. It's going to be Imagine.
Yeah, and he had some really solid games. He actually took out Area's Wannabe, formerly known as TQ Wannabe, really solid Terran. And so yesterday, we didn't get to see him play, let's say, the highest caliber of opponent. So I'm excited to see here how he plays out, because the summer just ended, Robin, and that's the perfect time to see the new up-and-coming players who were able to take the summer while they were off from school and really train and practice and put a lot of hours into StarCraft 2. And I think Imagine might be one of those solid players. Of course, FireZerg is his coach, though, and they are teammates, so they know a lot about each other, and we might just see some fun strategies to try to outthink each other here. And it is a best of 5, so there's more than enough room for it.
Well, it looks like Imagine. He's getting ready to set up for 2 racks as his opening here at the Natural, and this is actually pretty popular on the map. It's a little bit easier to wall off. I mean, we've had a lot of command center first builds, but people lately have started going to being a little bit more aggressive in their openings as a Terran player, just because they want to try and poke in the Natural and catch Zergs that might be a little bit too greedy. So we'll see if Imagine can make this work for him. I believe that was a 12 and 13 racks, if I looked correctly.
It was an 11-12, I think.
Oh, 11-12.
Yeah.
Wow, so he wants to be really aggressive with this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? You're saying that how Terrans are starting to get a little bit more aggressive, and I love it. And there's just the metagame shifting. For a while, we saw Terrans just getting more and more greedy until it got to the point where they couldn't really be any greedier. You know, like command center into 1 racks, gasless second extra command center. Like, you can't really do more than that as a Terran and not just die to a bunch of Zerglings running across the map. So, going back towards this aggressive play and trying to catch the Zergs off guard who are being greedy, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, because you're right. I mean, there's only so far that Terran can be greedy, and Zerg, they know for a fact that they can be greedier, especially when the metagame's sort of in their favor. They'll just build an extra macro hatch, keep moving forward. Ooh, we actually get SAVs being pulled off the line for Imagine. Here we go, a bunker already on the way. FireZerg here with his drone to start popping away on top of the SCV, and unfortunately not doing so. First Marine is here, and this bunker is in a very hard position that if he doesn't kill that SCV, it's going to be quite painful for him. And here we go. The engagement again. 3 SCVs join in as well, and Imagine might be able to take a lot of damage here. FireZerg's a little bit behind on getting those spine callers up.
Yeah, he's trying to protect it with that with those drones there. Now the Zerglings are popping out. The first bunker, though, does finish. Spineclar is getting produced right now, and it is out of range of that bunker, so it's right where it needs to be. That looks like 4 Marines in that bunker, but it's actually just 2 Marines for now. Zerglings just juking and jiving here, trying to keep these spine crawlers alive, but he's got to be careful. This bunker here starting to get close to finishing. Queen going to try to use that range to snipe the SCV. There she is, getting to work, but with this bunker finishing and the spine crawler not done yet, this is going to be a really tricky situation for FireZerg, Robin.
Yeah, Spinecrawler does finish up finally, as you mentioned. The 2 Queens are coming down, the Lings are running straight ahead, but again, there are 4 or 5 SCVs here to do repairs. A 6th one joins as well, and here we go, the repair begins, and actually the Lings get a nice amount of surface area, but there's a lot of Marines in the area as well. Spinecrawler down to red HP. FireZerg trying to get Spinecrawlers up, and he has a 3rd one to finish up as well. These Marines are poking, and the SCVs are taking a lot of damage here, but it looks like FireZerg has managed to get his natural nice and defended. He needs to make sure no Marines actually make it into the main, and he'll be alright.
Yeah, and there he goes, moving that spine car. He needs to hold this position, like you said, can't let them move up into the main, and he knows it. Look at him pull those drones there to make sure nothing's moving up that ramp. And now with the spine crawler here, it actually didn't get quite in range of that bunker, so Imagine is holding this position, but this is a lot of lost mining time here for these SCVs. So even though it's 23 drones to 21 SCVs plus a mule, it's more like 23 drones to 16 SCVs and a mule.
Ooh, look at Imagine here, actually putting a bunker down low ground. What he's going to do, actually, is allow this bunker to finish up, maybe throw a couple Marines in there, and then salvage this bunker on the natural. And at that point, he can slow down creep tumors for a while. This is actually a pretty smart play. This was done by QXC a long time ago, a good 3 to 4 months. Glad he's bringing this back, because at home he's trying to get his command center up. So he just wants to keep FireZerg stuck at his natural. That way he can get back into the economy game, because he did open with 11-12 racks. But over here, FireZerg's finally moving forward here, bringing a spine crawler as well. Going to try and start bunkering down on this bunker. But it looks like with the SCVs repairing it, unfortunately, it's going to be a long cycle of that happening. And finally, bunker on the low ground does finish up, and I think Imagine should be sacrificing it pretty soon.
Yeah, likely. I mean, those SCVs right now just repairing, basically just losing resources to the cooldown of the auto attack on that spine crawler. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are going for the counterattack, but a 3rd command, or rather barracks here, has been started. And with 5 Marines behind that wall, there's nothing much that FireZerg can do, and he's just going to have to pull back. So taking a look at the numbers post early game aggression here as things start to stabilize, we see it's 27 drones versus 24 SCVs, though 3 SCVs right now make that 4 are across the map, and in fact one of them did just go down. So it looks like things are pretty even here between the 2 players, especially with this extra orbital here about halfway done for Imagine.
And I agree, when this bunker is still just being here and constantly being repaired, all it's doing is slowing down FireZerg from expanding. We're already at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, and he doesn't have a 3rd on the way. He hasn't started a layer either. In fact, he's actually started mining 3-4 extractors at the moment, so he's going to be wanting to tech up just because he can't get out of his base quite yet. I mean, I think he could really commit to it if he wanted to, but that 3rd would still be a little bit harder to grab onto. He's just being very, very cautious at the moment. And him being cautious is allowing Imagine to get back in this game in terms of economy. Even though it's 42 to 26 and Harvesters, we have a 2nd base finally finished.
And the bunker actually went down, and unfortunately Imagine was not quite paying attention. He was trying to hunt down these Zerglings here across the map. So on the upside, he did manage to kill a lot of those Zerglings with that clump of Marines. Unfortunately, he did lose 4 Marines, 2 SCVs, and did not salvage the bunker at his opponent's base. And he does have a nice group of Marines here, but with 2 spine crawlers. Wow, I could not remember what they were called for a second. At the top of the ramp with the Queens, there's no way he's going to push up that ramp. And FireZerg here, he's getting into those upgrades. He's got that lair just about to finish, and his opponent is only just starting that factory. So you're right, he's got that extra command center. He will be able to jump that economy ahead, but his tech is pretty far behind.
I'm actually quite curious as to what Zerg's going to be following up to. I'm not sure if he notices that there's pure Marine. Actually, he saw 3 racks actually at the natural, so I assume he might actually go for Infestors. And actually, there it is. Infestation Pit has been thrown down, and that's a great choice against Marines, just because they naturally clump up. Everyone knows the area effect damage that you can do against Marines, especially if you want to move towards Phalanx as well, with him having that 3rd and 4th gas and getting upgrades on his melee units. So once he gets his 3rd established, which it looks like he's moving towards, get another macro hatch going, and from here he can really start churning away on the economy that he's built for himself. 46 to 37 Harvesters still. For some reason, Imagine during all that actually stopped building SCVs for a good minute or 2 for some reason, which I assume it's because he wanted to get some more tech out. You know, he went towards his factory as well as getting a couple more racks in the field. So we'll see what Imagine plans to do from here. He's in a bit of an awkward position with just having pure Marine. I mean, he's getting stem back out. Would like to see maybe an engineering bay with some upgrades as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a super risky play here for him because he's going right for that reactored starport to get the medevacs going. He's going to start drops, and that's something that'll work pretty well against the infestation pit play of FireZerg. However, FireZerg can get aggressive before those drops move out. I mean, Zergling, Baneling, Infestor is just going to roll over, quite literally, this clump of Marines, and we see Imagine even trying to set himself up to take that third base, clearing out some Zerglings. And he's got to be careful, man. Without siege tanks, it is hard to defend against a Zerg player.
Yeah, as well as being supply blocked at the moment. He had to build 3 supply depots because he was supply blocked. Imagine seems to be making a few mistakes. Something might be a little bit on the nervous side. And FireZerg, you know, just really starting to turn away. He's actually gotten his natural in third. Finally secured, moving a lot of creep, moving towards the middle of the map as well. Look at all these creep tumors, man. He's really been productive with that. And when he was stuck in his natural, he built a lot of creep tumors within his little area. That way he can move them out when he finally got rid of that bunker, which is really intelligent by him. Finally moving to a Baleen Nest, has a Roach Warren as well, grabbing all the upgrades, really. He's pretty far ahead, so he's decided he's going to go ahead and just get everything. That way he can be secure for whatever Imagine might send his way. I don't believe he's actually looked in the main. Actually, yeah, he did send Overlord. He sees the 1 factory, the 1 starport with reactor as well, so he knows that Imagine can't have too much really quite yet, and he knows, like you mentioned, that drops should be coming in. Actually, we have some on the way coming in the bottom left corner.
Are they coming in? Okay, they're just leaving his base right there, heading out, and a Zergling there should have spotted that as long as FireZerg was paying close attention to that minimap. We see some Zerglings are moving over there, maybe just to catch these Marines out of position, and Overlord unfortunately does get taken out, and there is nothing defending at the third base. Spore Crawler going up, that will make it annoying here for Imagine to go for those drops, but Imagine has taken his third base. Right now FireZerg does not know about it though, and the longer he doesn't know about it, the more it will hurt, because he can get aggressive right now against his opponent. He just needs to know that he has the opportunity to.
Oh, well, a little bit of an engagement in the middle of the map, and these are way too many lings. Imagine's going to have to pick up and try and pull on back, and finally dropping behind that third here. The Queen focusing down the medevac with the last 4-core shot. It will kill it off, and these Marines kill off 1 Queen as well, but really not doing as much damage as Imagine would have liked. I don't think, I think only 1 drone died there, actually, compared to the 8 that died earlier, so FireZerg with a decent defense there. And still moving across the middle of the map, man. Look at the creep. It's finally halfway through. He needs to keep moving, as he's got adrenaline glands on the way. So he really wants to have his lings moving very quickly across the middle of the map.
Yeah, adrenal glands there, of course, the increased attack speed, 20% more damage in short. Drops happening in the main base, so here at the natural as well. The Zerglings trying to get in position. They actually run the wrong way there for a second. Here they come this time around. They actually snipe an infester, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
Nice big damage done there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, with this hive done so quickly, we're going to see a quick 3-3 coming out of FireZerg here as this 2-2 finishes. And the 2-2 just started for Imagine. So he's going to be behind on upgrades here for a long time. And when you don't have any siege tanks, you're on this pure bio, those upgrades are even more important. And hold that thought, we do have some Marines and Marauders here starting to push out across the map and clearing up some of that creep, which, as you said, had really made its way quite a ways off there.
Well, some good things for Imagine. He has got his third established. He's catching up. 72 to 65 in Harvesters. Now, of course, with Mules, he should actually be able to even that out with FireZerg, which is always nice. And he's still moving up in upgrades. Granted, they're a little bit delayed, as you mentioned. He's still moving, though. He's getting up towards that area. If he can just hold off a little bit, maybe get 3-3, and hit before maybe too many Ultras get on the field, get some Marauders, he might be all right if he does some nice splitting. But overall, FireZerg grabbing his 4th, his 5th base. Potentially he could grab this command center up in the top right corner. He just scouts it with his lings. Instead, he's going to go ahead and chase these medevacs, but I would really like him to go ahead and cancel out this command center before it turns into a planetary fortress. But at the moment, he's kind of playing very, very passively, which has kind of been the tone of this game. He's just been waiting and just catching a match.
I mean, he had about like 26 supply tied up in Ultralists in his production tab. So I think he's waiting for those Ultras to pop out before he does get going. But here we go, that double drop in the main base. Marines and Marauders doing a lot of damage. Spore Crawlers, Queens going down. And now actually focus firing down the hive. Oh, an Ultralist does pop out right where he needs to be. And it looks like the hive here is just barely going to survive. Fungal does go down. One more will kill off that medevac. One more will kill off that medevac.
Yeah, he's bringing it. Oh, he doesn't actually have enough energy for a fungal. He's going to have to throw down a Infested Terran or something. But just something to note, before that happened, there was actually a huge engagement in the middle of the map, and he lost a good chunk of Marines and Marauders to just pure Lings while he was trying to set up that drop, unfortunately. So FireZerg actually took out a big part of his army and also stopped those drops. But at the same time, in the bottom left corner at the 4th base, we have a Marine Marauder ball, and it's going to kill off that hatchery right away. But we're going to go for a counterattack heading to the top right corner. Planetary Fortress is being repaired. Can it handle all these Lings? I think not, especially with the Ultralisk going up.
Yeah, both players there finding themselves slightly out of position and losing expansions. It looks like that drop in the main base did get cleaned up by some spore cars, but Imagine going to use this opportunity to actually keep pushing, and FireZerg doing the same thing, so both players' third bases will go down. No, the orbital can lift up, whereas the hatchery cannot burrow. Bungles are going down, doing a lot of damage here. The baselings rushing in, and everything will go down here. Two Marines continuing to kill off a couple of the drones. Meanwhile, across the map, we see some barracks is trying to go up to block and funnel these Zerglings and Ultras from pushing up that ramp, and without any splash damage, it's going to be super difficult here for FireZerg to continue doing damage. Now, luckily, FireZerg does have an extra third base here, just above his main, but there's still aggression happening. Marines and Mirage stimming and clearing creep, actually, which is an odd choice for soon-to-be doomed Marines and Marauders. But that was their last act in life, Robin. They really want to kill creep tumors in the middle of the creep.
Tumors are cancerous, man. You want to get rid of them. Just really quickly, workers killed between both those engagements, 43 and 41. So the worker count now is 42 to 42. Both players are effectively even, especially with Terran saving his third base. In fact, I may even put the Terran just a tad bit ahead with having that economy available to him. And he's still doing drops here. Going in the bottom left corner to kill off extractors and spine cores, which may be a bit of a waste of resources, but he effectively pulls the forces back down to that third so he can sit at home and get a nice pile of units ready to go. So Imagine making some great decisions in this late game scenario.
Absolutely, and we can see it in the income tab here. You're absolutely right. He's definitely ahead in the economy, and using this mobile force is really smart. We see here 5 medevacs finally going home. The drop here continuing. Will the fungals go down? One of the medevacs does die to the spore crawlers. No fungal growth going down just yet on this medevac. There we will see it go down, and with the infested Terrans going to clean that up and just shutting down this harassment actually pretty well considering the tech path here for FireZerg so far. But he really needs to go back and shut down this third base. It's so wide open.
Right corner, he's dropping again though.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, it's actually all these lings are actually piling up into a nice little choke here. But with the Ultras showing up and the Infestor not close enough, unfortunately the medevacs will pull away. And this is cue for Imagine to start moving forward once again. He retained a decent amount of medevacs from earlier. He's going to go ahead and try and make sure that no hatchery is happening in the bottom left corner. At the same time, he's really stressing FireZerg. With his Ling Ultra combo, he's just using drops to his advantage here, picking off left and right, and now more drones in the bottom right corner are going to be taken down as well from Imagine.
Yeah, great multitasking here from Imagine, and FireZerg just doesn't have any, like, static defenses set up at this third base, so it will go down. He did get his other third base, I'm going to call it, down here in the bottom left, going once again. He's trying to get aggressive towards the fourth base location of his opponent. Does see that there's nothing there just yet. In fact, the command center about halfway done here for Imagine, but in supply, I mean, only an extra 20 supply for FireZerg right now. Drones, 54 to 40 SCV, so things still very close here between these two players, and the drop continuing to harass here for Imagine.
Oh, the Infestors are going to try and catch them out of position, though, and they do catch one of the medevacs, and it looks like Imagine's going to go ahead and say, you know what, they've done their job, I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice them. No point even trying to waste any APM trying to save them, so well done by those medevacs. As WCG said in the chat, if we just leave a couple of Infestors on this right side, he effectively stops those drops, but FireZerg, for some reason, is just keeping his whole entire army grouped together. So it's getting to the point here where he's going to have to push and maybe do some damage with all these Infestors getting so much energy. He's just taking way too much damage and not really responding correctly. A fourth base about to secure for Imagine, grouping up more units in the middle of the map, and of course grabbing a few more racks as well.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what Imagine wants, is to avoid that big engagement. We do see another medevac drop coming here on the left-hand side. The Infestors, though, are close by this time around, and there is no auxiliary force pushing on the right-hand side. So this is not looking good, because FireZerg should be able to now push his opponent. He's already halfway across the map. Not going to be tough for him to push a little bit further. He's almost maxed out. Does have 2 more Ultras on the way, so a lot of supplies still in that production tab. And he's actually going to move towards this fourth base. The Planetary Fortress only about halfway done, so pretty good timing here for FireZerg to hit.
Yeah, there he goes, man. Infested Terran is being thrown down right in front to go and kill off the medevac that is in the way. Can he land a fungal on these SCVs? Unfortunately, the Infestor is just a tad bit too slow. They will get away just nicely, and the fort does lift and pulls away. Unfortunately, you can't fungal buildings, so that's not going to be working out to him. And there's another drop in the bottom left corner as well happening. So FireZerg is taking damage, and look, he's going to pull his whole entire army back just to defend these 2 drops, one on the bottom right and one on the bottom left. So that fourth base might potentially go down from a few Marines if he doesn't get there in time. There he goes. He starts swinging towards that direction.
Yeah, and the Zerglings are going to get there literally just in time. This hatchery getting down to about a quarter, make that a fifth, maybe even a sixth of its HP. And oh no!
No!
That's never
not good.
fun. Who tripped
Yeah.
over the cord? Oh,
Oh,
we're good.
Phew, we're good. No,
All right.
we're good.
I think we all hit pause.
Yeah, we all freaked out. We're like,
Because I hit
slammed
pause.
all
I was like,
buttons.
pause it. Because these guys are going to be a little jilted. They might have, like, pulled back from their computer when they started lagging out. And we'll see, make sure that these guys are ready to go. But this has been an intense game here.
Yeah.
So many pronged attacks coming from Imagine. But one thing that I have been showing on and off is look at the army value tab, Robin. It is significantly ahead here for FireZerg. He's got about 1,200 resources invested into his army to about the 8,000, or rather 12,000 to 8,000, rather, I should say, for Imagine. So, meanwhile, though FireZerg has been running around all over the map, sustaining damage from his opponent's multi-pronged harassment, he's still been building up that important army. He's been building up his infestor count, building up his ultralist count, and he hasn't been losing any of those units. So he's got a really scary army right now. And Marines and Marauders, that's tier 1, man. That is tier 1, Robin. Doesn't work so well against tier 3.
The Terra and T1 are tier 1, man. It can be pretty good.
Marine, best tier 3 unit. I've heard it said before.
It's pretty good when you get those upgrades going, man. I swear, when you put combat shields and stim pack on a Marine unit, they become tier 3. Just automatically. They skip the whole tier 2. They just go from just regular Saiyan to straight up Super Saiyan 4, like no problem whatsoever. Again, we're in this map. Fortunately, we're just going to go ahead and wait and see what's going on with these pauses because of the lag. But I was kind of wondering, actually, why Imagine didn't just focus down that hatchery. He actually kind of lets his Marines do whatever. I think he could have killed it, but that lag could have explained it. But overall, that fort is now really, really weak. And if you look at the mini-map, we have a huge ball in the bottom left corner right outside of that third for Imagine of units. I mean, and he's got a drop about to go in the bottom right, too. If he gets that bottom right drop in to do some damage, and we have FireZerg constantly 1-Aing his units all the way down to defend a drop, he might potentially kill out that fourth again. And FireZerg's going to be hurting from there, man. His third and natural getting very low on resources.
Yeah, absolutely, Robin. I couldn't have said it better myself. Sorry, I'm just trying to talk here and see with the admins and everything exactly what's happening. So far, no word. I know we did have some lag issues yesterday. Again, this event is happening in the middle of a mall, so internet isn't the easiest thing to come by. Or rather, should I say good internet is not the easiest thing to come by. I don't think they're playing off the Starbucks WAN, Wi-Fi. That's the word I was looking for. I think they've got their own dedicated. It looks like the players are ready, and here we go back into game. And like you said, if FireZerg here keeps A moving, he is going to find himself in a lot of trouble as he continues to sustain damage at these auxiliary bases and just can't mine while he mines out his natural and third.
Okay, drop is loaded up. Imagine's coming down the bottom right. We do have FireZerg heading over there to set up his 5th base, but unfortunately, his main is now under attack. Ooh, but he did leave some lings there. Good job, FireZerg, finally tuning up his play a little bit, trying to predict these little drops from happening. So finally, gonna go ahead and get his 5th setup as we have the drone heading on its way over there. And he has so many infestors. Oh my gosh. How many are there? 8, 16. We have a total of 19, I believe, on the field here.
Sir.
Yeah. 19 infestors all queued up. So, looking over and Imagine, though, this was an older style that was done a good 8 months ago, where you just get so many medevacs that the fungals literally can't do too much damage because the medevacs sustain your Marines and Marauders so much that the fungals won't do anything. So if he can get a couple more medevacs in this, he might be alright. And here we go, gonna go ahead and engage these lings and ultras that are heading their way to the 4th, but with a planetary fortress there, it's gonna be a little bit harder to engage, but FireZerg's gonna do it. Imagine is grouped up, and here goes a mass amount of fungals.
Those fungals, Robin, they're unbelievable, but look at these Marines and Marauders. Like you said, the medevacs keeping them alive, and they were able to just destroy through that ultralist count. Now we see tons of infested Terrans going down, but still lots of DPS coming from the Marines and the Marauders. The infested Terrans unable to keep up, and that 19 infestor count down to just 8. The ultralists have vanished, but the planetary fortress does go down. Imagine has floated his main orbital command down to the bottom left of his main expansion to continue mining, and now FireZerg here trying to rebuild that army, but holy crap, if you look at units lost, have FireZerg Actually,
lost a lot.
Imagine lost even more somehow. That is unbelievable because
He
that
lost
was like
11 infestors.
yeah, he just lost like 10,000 resources worth of units in about 15 seconds. And it's not over yet. Here come the Marines and Marauders in towards that fourth base. Only a couple of Ultras and Zerglings. The Infestors do not have enough energy for fungal growth. The Ultras here getting transfused, but the hatchery will go down. And the Ultras cannot fight. They are not strong enough. The Infestors go down. FireZerg gives the GG.
Oh man, that was such a good game. FireZerg, unfortunately, I feel like he made a lot of mistakes in the early to mid game. He had a nice lead. He defended against that bunker rush, not too well, but he defended it nicely. He wound up coming ahead in economy, and all he had to do was break through the bunkers and get his third up. But he was playing so passively. He seemed very, very scared, or just really either A, seemed like, okay, I'm pretty far ahead. I can do whatever I want. I'm just gonna upgrade and stuff. Or B, he was just scared. He didn't ever want to push out and try and grab map control. And from there, Imagine was able to do a great job, a multi-pronged harass. FireZerg never really responded correctly until about 15, 17 minutes into the game, and eventually just lost the game. But overall, Imagine playing very well, deserving that win. 1-0, great game, man.
Yeah, I mean, it played out just like you said. There was too many medevacs for the Infestors to be as effective as they normally would be. And Marine Marauder, that's like the highest DPS combination of units when you're going up against Ultralists. And we saw them just evaporate. I was sitting here and, like, have to consciously remind myself to cast because, like, mouth agape, just stunned at how quickly. Like, Ultralists, you know, they're expensive units. They have lots of HP. They have lots of armor. But apparently none of that really mattered. They just,
I mean,
just died.
Just the amount of healing available from, what, the 10, 11 medevacs? And then also with the Planetary Fortress being there, really just cutting the surface area of the Zergs and Ultralists.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just a good positioning by Imagine, but also you just have the upgrades as well, 3-3, and when it comes to 3-3 versus 3-3 lanes, Marines and Marauders actually do pretty darn well, especially with Sustain, so...
Yeah, that's Stim. I mean, 3-3 times, what is it, 20% attack speed upgrade with Stim, that becomes, what, 3.6 upgrades, we'll call it? Either way, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, guys. This is the WCG Canada, sponsored by Samsung. That was game 1 in our first semifinal. It's a best of 5. It's far from over. Don't go anywhere. Cartoon Robin waiting for you when we get back.
All right, you ready, Kevin? And flip.
Whoa! Did you get that?
Yep. Look at this. Takes like 20 pictures at a time. I never miss anything. Isn't that awesome?
Oh, that's really cool. You should upload these.
I know, right?
That is really amazing. Pictures are so clear.
Kevin's a handsome devil.
That phone does everything. Search dog tricks.
Okay, see if we can teach him something cool. Look at how lazy Kevin is.
Kevin, get it together, dude.
Come on, Kevin.
Take 20 pictures with Burst Shot on the Galaxy S3.
I am not just a television. I am a Samsung Smart TV. I am your cheer on Canada and follow Twitter on screen machine. The only question is, where will your passions take us?
All right, guys, welcome back. Robin, my good
You're such
sir.
a boss, man. I saw you in chat. Look at you. Going man mode.
Yo, man, I mean, look, I just want to I mean, these are some great games. It's fun to watch, and we're here to have fun. And if you want to come somewhere and just try to pick a fight, you know, do that in the fighter community maybe, because I hear they appreciate that kind of thing. But we just
Or
want to have
Buffalo
fun.
Wild Wings. That's a great place to fight, too.
There you go.
Because
And if you are Canadian and you live in Canada, then there are no Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh.
But maybe you can go to the States and pick fights there. But then I don't know if you'll get covered medically, so it could get tricky. I don't
The
know.
States, man, we're crazy when it comes to fight to Buffalo Wild Wings. That's like the #1 place to go to get in a fight. Not even kidding. I actually go there and buy a thing of mozzarella sticks, and by the time my mozzarella sticks comes to my table, someone has a broken jaw. It's the best thing ever.
Well, that's better than the Wild Wild West bar in Atlantic City, which by the time my first round of drinks got to the table, someone had already puked on the floor.
Ew.
Yeah, man, it was a crazy bar, but more of those stories later because we've already got the countdown here starting, guys. We are going into Game 2 of Semifinals 1. Don't catch them all, Robin.
Got it.
Don't catch them all. So here we are on Cloud Kingdom. These guys, of course, teammate being nothing but polite in the early game here. And spawning. It is nice. You know, that's something that you gain with age, I believe, is you start realizing that being nice is nice. You know? It's just so much less stressful. And it's all about peace. Like, peace of mind is what I mean. You don't want to be stressed out. Stressed out.
I must not be old enough, man. Because I like making people angry. I don't know why. It makes me giggle. I need to get a few more years under my belt.
Maybe. Sometimes it is fun. It is.
Yeah.
You know me, Robin.
I know
me.
you. Oh, I know you. You're not grown up either.
No.
We're still youngins, but we can still appreciate those that are nice.
It's true.
That's
true.
for
It's
sure.
something we aspire to. Someday we'll be nice. But spawning in the bottom left, I'm going to cut you off right there.
No, go
because
ahead.
we shouldn't go down that road. It is from Cyber Gaming, FireZerg. And who do we got in the top right, Robin?
Well, in the top right corner, pretty fantastic Terran player from Game 1, if it's any judgment of his skill. He played pretty awesome. It's going to be Imagine, your purple Terran player this game. We'll see where he plans to go. Remember, last game he started with 11, 12 racks. We're already past that point. He might actually start with a command center first, which would be great, man. I love players who changes their play from Game 1 to Game 2. It's such a great, I'm trying to think, a gauge of how skilled they are. If you really want to put it out there, how they can just change their builds and, of course, change their play styles on the fly. And Imagine going for his command center first. I love it. Such a great play compared to game number 1. This Cloud Kingdom's kind of the same distance in terms of rush distance, a little bit longer, but you could open up with 2 racks if you wanted to.
Oh,
this map,
it's
but still
super
potentially
popular
take
on
damage.
this map.
Yeah.
Because you can actually go for a triple bunker wall. And if you put one bunker and the middle bunker a little bit further forward, you do reach the hatchery. And it's kind of a similar situation as Shakira's Plateau. Can be extremely annoying for Zerg players. But nonetheless, you're right. This nice change of pace here for Imagine might take FireZerg by surprise. And we see that he did go for a 15 hatch into 15 pool, which is pretty much the most safe standard play that you can go for without going for a pool first, because FireZerg probably worried that there might be again a 2 racks opener. And the real thing I'm curious to see though is, will Imagine change his main playstyle? Changing his opener, like you said, nice versatility and will give you advantages versus your opponent who may not be able to do so, but will he maybe throw some mech out against his opponent? Or will he stick to that bio play, maybe bio mech? We'll have to wait and see.
Strong possibility. I mean, he could. He's followed up in the 2 racks, which is standard after command center, but he's also following up to double gas. Sometimes you could say a 3rd Rex if they're wanting to go for a bit bio heavy, but with the double gas following up, he could potentially follow up into a quicker factory. So we'll see the route that he wants to go from here. We're going to need to keep an eye on that 3rd and 4th extractor for him at his natural. But for now, checking over into FireZerg, just now finishing up his queen, starting the injects at the moment. He actually may go for a 3rd very, very soon.
Yeah.
Typically, you might see a really quick 3rd against a command center first Terran. You would see a quick 3rd against him around the 5:30 mark. So we'll keep an eye on FireZerg if he goes that route.
Yeah, well, he's going definitely for like a 6 queen opener here, it seems. And once he gets that creep spread going, probably going to take a quick 3rd as well. Meanwhile, actually a 3rd barracks on the way for Imagine. I blindly assumed that it would be a factory here in his main base, but no, it's another barracks. So definitely still very bio-centric play here coming from Imagine. Factory is going up, though. Will it be to just get that reactor and the starport, get some medevacs flowing, or will he try to mix in some tank play? We'll have to wait and see. For now, though, there they are. Queens number 5 and 6 on the way for FireZerg. And this is a bit of old school play here, coming from like both players, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going for the starport into reactor, you're going to be seeing that push around the 9-minute, 9:30-minute mark. It's a little bit harder to pull off drops, I feel, on this map. First off, because of overlord placements. We have an overlord in the top left corner, one at the 9 o'clock position as well, and one down the bottom right, which serves as a point to see if they're going to be jumping between your main and your third base. The drops, of course, the medevacs. So it's really easy to spot on this map compared to Ohana. We got a longer surface area, elongated area for you to do drops. So it comes down to the timing, and he needs to do it behind the natural. It's where you normally get to see the first drop happen. But FireZerg beefing up his front wall. He's got a nice amount of queens on the field, as he mentioned, and really getting that creep extended as well. If he can get a creep tumor in his main to where it comes down to third, it'll be way easier for him to defend against any drops that will be coming.
Yeah, like even just rather spread creep in his main is what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that allows the queen to move a lot easier and intercept those medevacs and keep them from moving so easily. We do have Imagine here pushing out with a couple of Hellions, the first ones that just popped out, and starting his third command center. So it looks like he's going to control the main, control the map with his Hellions here early on and try to take a quick third. It is going to be tough, though, to do any damage with all of these queens and with that great creep spread that we have so far from FireZerg. So I hope he's not trying to get too aggressive with those, though he is queuing up a 5th and 6th Hellion.
Oh yeah, you're right, man. It really looks like he just wants to hold the middle of the map for a while and just play a macro-oriented game, because the build from Imagine, as you mentioned, is not going to really allow, from Zerg, is not going to allow Imagine to really get into a point where he can do a lot of damage. Maybe he'll have a bit of a timing when the third hatchery goes down to get in there and do a little bit of harassment, but that's about it, really. The creep spread, the queens, everything really counters Hellion Marine if positioned correctly. So we'll keep an eye on Imagine as third command center is about to finish up here. Finally now moving into a starport, as you can see in his main, and also starting upgrades as well. So yeah, looking very macro-oriented at the moment.
Absolutely, and we also do have FireZerg getting in there with an Overseer. I was actually keeping an eye here on things, and okay, he will switch the factory and the starport, so he does stop at 6 Hellions, and that's what I was going to say is, you know, the more Hellions you make, the less future tech you're going to be getting, whether you want to have siege tanks or just go into the medevacs. And we're going to have just bioplay here from Imagine once again. It worked great last game. This game, FireZerg is going for the same play so far. He hasn't gotten the infestation pit, though, just yet. I don't know about this. This is a pretty late third as well.
Yeah, he seems to be playing a little bit more passively compared to last game. Maybe hoping that some drops are going to hit him a little bit earlier compared to last game, but unfortunately Imagine's doing really well to kind of transition a little bit differently, because he saw FireZerg have a lot of lings last game. He made sure to grab those 6 Hellions to really help out with his Bioforce in terms of taking them on. And from here he's just poking. Sees the amount of queens, he's trying to slow down this creep, but FireZerg is really just moving it forward, man. He's staying on top of it, as it's about to be to that potential 4th base of Imagine. And Imagine now floating over to his 3rd. There is one ling there, but he should be able to dispatch that pretty easily. And he's also gearing up for a push here. He's got 2 medevacs with a handful of Marines and the 6 Hellions now moving forward to the bottom right corner. But this time, FireZerg's a step ahead of him. He's got roaches and he's got bangs here. He should be able to crush this pretty easily.
And centrifugal hooks here just finishing in moments, so he's going to have that speed. Now, despite the great creep spread so far of FireZerg, he doesn't have too much around this 3rd base, so it might get a little bit tricky here. The medevacs, of course, are ready to pick up, and they start doing just that. A few of the units there will go down, but most importantly, FireZerg holds his 3rd base. But he's not really mining from it yet. He's got 61 drones to the 56 SCVs of his opponent, but his opponent has 3 orbitals here, getting those mules, and we do see him quite a bit ahead here of his opponent in terms of income. We should see him adding on barracks as there are the reactors going down. He's going to have a ton of Marines this game, and another attack here at the 3rd, Robin.
Ooh, smart job here from Imagine. He actually moved his units down to the bottom right corner, making it look like he was going to go ahead and retreat home. And instead he just went ahead and went for another counterattack here. Now he's taking off a couple of drones and go ahead and use these units to do as much damage as possible. He's going to try and do some damage on the hatchery, being a little bit indecisive when it comes to what he wants to focus down. But going to go ahead and lift up again and run to the main. At the same time, he's moving across the middle of the map here, picking off some roaches. We're going to get a bit of a pause here. It looks like FireZerg might be lagging a tad bit, but Imagine's doing a great job of being aggressive on 2 fronts right now.
Absolutely. Just sticking it to his opponent here. And, you know, when you play biomech, You got those Marines, got the siege tanks. Oftentimes, if you lose a medevac, if you lose those Marines inside, it could be devastating because you need the medevacs to be part of your army for the main engagements, and losing those few Marines does hurt your overall Marine count. But when you're going this straight bio and into lots and lots of medevacs, I mean, the only gas he's investing is into upgrades, medevacs, and the 25 it takes to make a Marauder. And he is just letting his units die. He is just completely willing to trade as many units as possible. And we're going to get things here going. There they go. He's just willing to trade units for actually just tasking his opponent's multitask and trying to mess up his macro and trying to kill off whatever he can. And so far doing a great job of it, Robin.
Well, it's working. First off, he's still in the main, and looks like he's going to go and pick up the rest of the units there as he kills off more drones. But he's now ahead in Harvesters, 59 to 51. He's killed off a total of 9, which is great. And he's forcing a lot of units and still dropping in the main. Imagine has great medevac control, man. I'm actually pretty impressed with him. Still going to go ahead and keep dropping, doing a few more drones as well. And as the Banelands and Roaches come back, he just picks up and heads to third here. And he's tasking, as you mentioned earlier, FireZerg in his multitasking. He just it doesn't seem to really leave a couple of units here and there. He kind of puts everything on a couple of keys, 1 and 2, and just kind of moves them all together at once. And he needs to be a little bit more aware of his positioning with his units, or he's going to lose more drones like he's been doing all game.
Not just drones, but now losing creep tumors as well, not dealing with this small group of units until just now, and that creep that was spreading all the way to the 4th is now cleaned up, and now the medevacs here. Medevacs never go home, Robin. Behold that thought, there is an attack here coming for FireZerg. cGImagine does not have too many units at home to defend. He is counter-dropping here, but there is a Spore Crawler doing some damage. He notices and pulls back those medevacs. Meanwhile, we got some SCVs trying to hold, but some Banelings doing a lot of damage, and more Zerglings and Roaches here are rallying out across the map. Imagine who is trying to take a 4th base here, getting caught a little bit out of position. Going to try to use this wall to stay in the game, but at the very least here, he's going to have lost tons of SCVs.
You got a full screen, man, as we're having the engagement still coming up the main ramp here. We do have a nice little concave, but just maybe not enough units with the SCVs being pulled off. Once again, he's going to go ahead and deal with the Roaches that are running into the main, but FireZerg having enough of the harassment, having enough of the damage being done to the Commodore says, you know what, I'm just going to build a huge amount of units and push into your main, and it's being very effective here, taking on a whole bunch of infrastructure, reactors dying off as well, and whenever you're in the Terran's actual production, you've basically won the game, especially when you have more units than they can potentially even produce here. And we have the Roaches moving straight for the SCVs once again, and a total of 35 have been killed off. This is looking like it might just be GG for our Terran player, down 139 supply to 50.
Yeah, and the drops got cleaned up across the map, so it's not even like it's even anything close to a base race scenario. And we're just waiting for it. We're going to see a GG here any second. 40 supply for Imagine versus the 130 of his opponent. His last vestige, that 3rd base, now, of course, under attack as well. He does have a small group of Marines here trying to defend in the main, but these Roaches have so much HP that they cannot kill them quickly enough, and the medevacs completely out of energy here. They are burnt out, Robin. They cannot do any more.
Yeah, man, unfortunately, medevacs can't attack ground units, and it's going to be GG. A nice decision there from FireZerg, and it looks like Imagine will be falling down the series to a tied number 1-1 is going to be the series, and we're going to go into an ace match in game number 3.
Yeah, Imagine, I mean, he basically went for the exact same strategy as he did in game 1, but this time around, FireZerg said, you know what, fine. Do your little drops, do some damage, but I'm going to take you out. I'm not going to sit back as long as I did last game. And obviously it worked pretty well for him there. So like you said, we're going to game 3 here. It's WCG Canada, sponsored by Samsung. Robin and Katu casting for you guys, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
Thanks.
No problem.
What did you guys just do right there?
Just gave him a video.
Okay, let's get started.
You did that without a dongle.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm texting and watching a video at the same time.
It's a boy. Check it out.
3. Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
That's cool.
Wow. This is a lot to process.
Yeah. Introducing the Galaxy S3. Share like never before.
I am not just a television. I am a Samsung Smart TV. I am your window to the world. A portal, so no matter where you are, you're in the front row. I am a gateway, so you can access anything and watch everything. The only question is, where will your passions take us? Experience the future of smart TV now.
All right, guys, welcome back. Of course, that Series 7 notebook that you just saw, you can win a free one. Just go to WCGCanada.net and click on the link to enter in the free sweepstakes. Get yourself a gaming notebook from Samsung and WCG. Also, we've got another event coming up next week, and I'll talk about that in a second. We're hopping already into Game 3, Robin. Here we go.
That's right, man. Game number 3, and I was actually
come on.
wrong this. Give me the code, man. Give me the code. Give me the code. This is actually a best of 5. I was wrong. As we were in game number 2, I said it was a best of 3. So we actually have 3 more games that could potentially happen.
I hope so.
Yeah. Me too, man. I'm actually kind of enjoying this series. So in the top right corner, purple Terran player. It's going to be Imagine. Currently tied 1-1. In the bottom left corner, who do we have, Katu?
It's our orange Zerg. From CG as well, FireZerg.
That's right, man. That's right.
So in the end, we saw different openings in the past 2 games from Imagine. However, we saw the same mid games from him. And though FireZerg had some trouble with it in Game 1 and Game 2, he was able to fix it up. So I guess my question to you, Robin, is what can or what should Imagine do to change things up here in Game 3?
Well, either A, do only a couple medevac drops and then kind of pull back from that instead of constantly keep doing it. He seemed to really want to keep doing drops over and over again. He lost a couple of medevacs, and he didn't move towards siege tech really, and he didn't protect his natural as much as you would normally see. He didn't bunker up or anything, and that allowed FireZerg to really just turn out a lot of roaches and just move forward and kill him off from there. If you're doing a bunch of drops, that means your units are effectively on the other side of the map. And if your opponent decides to counterattack and you're not ready for it, you don't have anything in the way, no SimCity, they're just going to straight up kill you like we just saw in game number 2. So hopefully this time, you might move a little bit faster towards siege tank, or of course play a little bit more defensively. Maybe only send 1 or 2 drops, and then once they're dealt with effectively, if you can't really juice anything else out of FireZerg, just go ahead and sit back at home and macro, because he really builds for the macro late game. He just likes to be a little bit too active with medevacs, it seems.
Yeah, maybe so. I really do like your point about SimCities, just setting up a barracks wall and even just a supply depot wall and can really buy you a lot of time. Of course, both Marines and Marauders have way more range than the Roaches do, and just buying a little bit of time can be huge because Marines and Marauders do so much DPS quickly that 5-10 seconds can be a quarter or a third of the Zerg army just wasted away before it even gets to engage his army. So just small things like that might allow him to keep going for those drops that he was still going for while still staying safe at home. Of course, the third base would be vulnerable, but he can always lift up, maybe lose a few SCVs, but of course his counter drops are killing off drones and things should end up at the very least close to the same. But speaking of the same, Imagine is going for that same 2 racks into double refinery play, Robin.
Yep, very similar opening. I mean, this is kind of just a standard. If you go command center first, you have to go 2 racks. You can die to a lot of just timing. If you have a speed link timing, literally come into your natural and either A, keep your command center floating down from a while, or if you're not very active with the supply depots, you can potentially just die off if you play any more greedy than that. So pretty normal to go 2 racks into follow-up gases. We'll see if he'll go for the same route he went last game. He actually went for a 3rd racks, followed up into a factory a little bit later on. Well, I mean, Imagine can make it work on this map. It's a bit bigger, but drops are a little bit easier to pull off as well, though, because you have all that empty space between that 3rd and natural of the Zerg down in the bottom left corner, which, speaking of 3rd, should be having one from FireZerg very soon. He has elected to actually go for 4 queens here, so that will delay a tad bit longer. On this map, you can actually get away with getting a 3rd faster and then follow up into gas afterwards instead of going for double gas into a 3rd. But just don't saturate your 3rd quite yet until you have your speed being queued up.
Yeah, he definitely still has a lot of options open. He is going to go into those 6 queens. And you mentioned that drops are still going to be effective on this map, and you're absolutely right. But for FireZerg's, I guess, style, we'll say, of drop defense, where he's been moving his entire army to deal with drops, it's going to be a lot easier on this map for FireZerg to deal with them, because on like Cloud Kingdom, you barely have to move from the third to the main, and meanwhile the ground units have to run all the way around, and that can be super annoying. Whereas on Daybreak, basically the medevacs have to run just as far as the rest of the units do via ground. Now imagine he's doing a little bit of a walk around here with some Marines trying to catch an Overlord, but FireZerg already has it on that high ground pillar there hidden, so it doesn't look like he's going to find too much.
Well, a similar opening for Imagine as well, by the way, as he did open up his third rack into a factory, and he's actually going for Hellions once again. So we'll see if he turns out to 6 Hellions like he did last time, and then moves to Starport. Same thing for FireZerg as well. Double Evolution Chamber going outside of his natural, moving towards getting that third ready to go, using his Queens to get that creep tumors spread over there. But Imagine, like you mentioned, bringing over his Marines, just going to go ahead and station himself out there to make sure that third hasn't gone up quite yet. The longer that third doesn't go up, the better Imagine feels about his drop play.
Yeah, and also clearing the creep is something that we've seen Imagine really making a priority, and the less creep there is, the happier he seems to be. So as long as there's no overlords and he can drop and there's no creep, then I think that's where Imagine likes to be. He is taking a very quick third base himself. The Overlord of FireZerg is actually trying to scout his opponent's gases rather than scouting that third base location just yet, because this is a really quick third command center here, and if Imagine can get that up and into a planetary fortress, there's not going to be much that FireZerg can do about it for a long while.
Yeah, very true. And you know what? With the Hellions being aggressive, of course, as you mentioned, FireZerg really just kind of can't move out to go scout that quite yet. I mean, he has the Overlord there in the right underneath the natural, and he's just using that more to spot gas timing. And he should send that over around 9:30 to check out the command center, but by then it'll be a little bit too late. Hellions are now in the natural. Are they doing much damage? They do get a nice volley off, but unfortunately don't kill off that huge wave of drones that actually ran away. Only killing off, it looks like, 8.
Yeah, 8 total there. The Overseer does sneak in for FireZerg as well. He spots the double engineering bays, which is, of course, a dead giveaway, along with the 3 Raxes and the reactored starport that we're going to see some bio play here once again coming from Imagine. Imagine always stuck behind in upgrades on his opponent, something that has hurt him. And if he can't get to that 3-3, I mean, I don't know, man. That mid-game, he has to keep doing these medevac drops, and he has to sim city, and it's just something that he hasn't done yet. He hasn't gotten those supply depots going up, or even, I'd like to see barracks, honestly, wallowing off that natural. We do have some Zerglings getting in on that third base. He did turn it into an orbital, not into a planetary fortress, so it will continue to be vulnerable here to run-bys for quite a while.
He actually did get off a mule kill as well as 3 extra SCVs, and if he didn't lose those lings in the middle of the field here, that would have been a great trade for him. But actually losing all of his lings here, and Imagine getting ready for some aggressive play here. He does have 2 medevacs, so he can lift up and go into the main, as it looks like FireZerg sitting outside of his natural here, defending at that point of entry. And there we go, lifting up. Will he go ahead and move to the main? And yes, there he goes. And FireZerg didn't scout it, actually.
Yeah, and his roaches are by the Zelnaga watchtower, so they're super far away. There's only 1 queen here. Now, there is a Spore Crawler in position going after the first medevac, and it looks like it might get 1 medevac kill. Oh, there it is. The medevac does go down. It did drop its entire payload, though, and now the Marines and Marauders here are doing some damage, stimming up. 1 Marauder does get focus fire down. Now the Marines going to have some trouble with those roaches. The queen gets down to just 1 HP, but will survive. The Spore Crawler down to 38 HP will survive. And it looks like Imagine here only getting a couple of his units out. He's going to go back to drop and get the Spore Crawler, it seems here. Really wants to kill that off. And unfortunately, he will be able to, just barely there.
Oh man, that was just unfortunate. Imagine not paying attention and losing that first medevac. That would have helped him a lot. First off, 1, and he'd had a little bit more sustain, and 2, he would have been able to treat with more units there. Unfortunately, with him having 1 less medevac, he has to commit to that engagement, because he's going to lose half his army no matter what, so he has to do some kind of damage. So that kind of forced him into a bit of a pickle, but nonetheless, he got a decent sandwich out of it. Looking into the natural and third here, it looks like he's going to go ahead and start clearing out the map, grabbing the Zelnaga as well. But again, like we've been talking about since last game, he needs some cities. He needs a way to defend his natural and third, and he just doesn't do it.
I mean, he's got 7 barracks here. you can use just 4 of them to wall this off nicely. Of course, the first 3 were made in his main base, kind of earlier on when he might be worried about some attacks and doesn't want to lose those crucial production structures. But now, I mean, losing your natural is worse than losing a few barracks worth of production, and building them on the low ground would be great. A huge supply block here right now for Imagine. Hasn't even started a supply depot yet, Robin. Oh boy, and that's because he's Mike throwing a huge drop over into the main base.
Yeah, he took 4 medevacs there. He did lose... oh no, the other medevac's in the top right corner here. He's going to go ahead and try and maybe potentially kill off this hive. Will he get it? No, he's going to go ahead and stem here and deal with the roaches and kind of jam himself into a position here where he can take on the roaches at lower numbers instead of all of them in mass. But it looks like with the medevacs healing, it still won't be enough. And Infestor pops out and gets off a decent fungal, and it looks like FireZerg will hold that off. And go ahead and keep mining. How many drones did you lose? He lost 13 more there, so losing a total of 16. And looking in the numbers, 63 to 65 in harvesters. So FireZerg taking a little bit of damage, but doing a good job of really holding Imagine back and not doing the optimal amount of damage he wants to.
Yeah, those transfuses, man, reigning supreme in that engagement, keeping everything alive just a little bit too long. Spire just about to finish here for FireZerg. Of course, Mutalists or even Corruptors would be a great way to defend against these drops. Just getting the Corruptors might seem like an odd choice versus Mutalists, but since we're already at the 14.5, 15-minute mark, he might choose to go Corruptors because he can deal with a bunch of the medevacs at first and then morph them into those Broodlords here. And we do see the Greater Spire is, of course, getting started.
Oh my gosh, Imagine's gonna get it. Oh my gosh, his whole entire medevac actually
no.
gets Terrans as well. This is 7 medevacs, plus units that were in there they're gonna be taking out. 1 medevac does retreat nicely there, but a great catch there from FireZerg.
And it looks like he sacrifices it in the end. Imagine throws the medevac in there and does go down. But that was just painful. There are lots of resources lost for Imagine. If we see FireZerg in a TVZ, usually the Zerg is the least cost-efficient player. But right now, Imagine's lost 6,000 resources to the 3,500 of FireZerg. FireZerg here engaging again. This time it will go a lot more into Imagine's favor. We see him there evening up that unit's loss tab just a tiny bit. The Infestors, of course, luckily able to stay alive for now, but they don't have burrows, so they have got to be pretty darn careful here, Robin.
Well, Imagine, even though losing those drops, it hurts a lot and really kind of hurts his late game that he tries to go for. He does get his 4th up, has a planetary fortress secured, and still is really turning out a lot of units. Look how many racks he has in his main, man. He's really going for this bio and still being aggressive, killing off creep tumors in the middle of the map here. There is a 4th base going in the top left corner for FireZerg. If somehow we can actually prevent that from happening, it's going to be quite handy for him, keeping Zerg on 3 bases. As you mentioned, he's on Hive Tech and he's going for heavy upgrades, but he needs that 4th base for not just for the economy, but also for the larvae since it's on pure lings here. And here we go. Gonna go ahead and run straight into the 3rd. Gonna go ahead and try and kite these lings into a corner. But with the Infestors and the Queens getting here, they will deal with them nice and handedly. But again, keeping FireZerg stuck at his 3rd base.
Yeah, and he cleared up so many creep tumors all the way along the middle here. We see there are still some remnants left, but that was basically just a creep clearing squad that Imagine sent out, which ended up also killing a couple of drones and some Zerglings at the 3rd base. So he wasn't really too sad to lose that. Meanwhile, there is a drop up at that 4th base, almost takes it down, just 400 HP left on that hatch, and more pressure here happening. A couple of units running up into the natural. We got a drop up into the main base, and right now FireZerg seems to be getting maybe picked apart a bit. His opponent's almost maxed out to his own 160. He's trying to get some Corruptors here after those medevacs, but the Marines and Marauders now focusing down the spawning pool over in the main base. Over at the 3rd, we see the hatchery getting focus fire down, and a drop at the 4th. This is a 4-pronged attack, Robin. Imagine he's just all over the place, killing bases, killing tech structures, and FireZerg here is just struggling to keep up.
Well, Imagine does kill off that 4th hatchery, he does kill off the 3rd officially, and he's also dealing with the Broodlords that have finally now popped out for FireZerg. But FireZerg is now stuck on 2 bases. He's moving toward 3-3, but he's got GG Lords out. Now, can he actually force a GG? And it looks like he's actually taking a lot of damage here. He's got 2 Infestors, potentially a 3rd. Marauders do so much damage to Infestors because it's considered armored units, so those Marauders really will shell through them pretty easily. He's got another Bioforce on the way once again in the middle of the map, lifting up a couple units. Looks like he wants to do another drop. And also just moving the Marines and Marauders across the middle of the map here. He's grabbing a 5th base in the bottom right corner. Unfortunately, with the Zerg beam there, he can't really land it quite yet. But again, you can tell he's trying to move forward, and he's playing Zerg-like. He doesn't defend his natural, doesn't defend his 3rd, but he's constantly attacking and trading units.
Constantly attacking is right, Robin, and home. This is just looking worse and worse here for FireZerg. But one thing did go in his favor. He had killed the factory of his opponent, so we did see Imagine have to build another factory. There it is, over at his 4th base. Actually, now he's getting into a couple of starports so he can transition into those Vikings. But there's just not enough of an economy for FireZerg to replenish this army. So if he loses it once, and keep in mind that he only has 4 infestors, so even just the slightest misfungals means that the Marines are going to be right under these Broodlords and slicing and dicing them with that +3 attack versus the 0 upgrade here on the Broodlords. And here we go, Robin.
Oh god, that was a huge fungal, and because he didn't have the 7 medevacs he had earlier, his Marines actually take a lot of units here, but just pure mass and force here, just moving forward, dealing with these Broodlords. Does he have enough Marines and Marauders? And it looks like he just does. He's going to be dealing with just the Broodlords now, and FireZerg is forced to GG. Imagine, man, playing a pretty interesting style.
And it's working.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, a lot of the times when we say he's playing an interesting style, it's like trying to be nice about saying he did something really silly that didn't work out. But no, this time, like, he's making it work against a player of the caliber of FireZerg. I'm not sure exactly where he is ranked. He was Grand Masters. We see that he is High Masters now. But there it is, 1,600 point Masters at that. So might as well call him a Grand Masters, Robin. And this is some top level play. And Imagine making that bio play work. Those drops, man. Like, at one point he was attacking 4 bases at once, and with that he killed off 2 hatcheries, and FireZerg barely saved his spawning pool. It was down to like a 3rd HP.
Yeah, the multitasking was phenomenal there. It was a little bit off beat, but it was just enough on beat to where FireZerg really couldn't keep up with it. I mean, he had a few lings at the 4th, but not enough to deal with the drop. And he had some units at the 3rd, but again, not enough to deal with that drop. And he had a lot of his units dealing with the drop in the main, which he was able to deal with, but he lost his 3rd and 4th, which hurt way too much. So Imagine, man, playing the style that he likes. Like I said, it feels like his Zerg style, not really defending his natural at 3rd, just keeping up with constant aggression, and trading pretty decently. I thought once he lost 7 medevacs, he would kind of sit back and macro up, but no, man. He kept up with it. Yeah, he just
stopped using drops. He just started sending units across the map via ground and just continued to pick apart his opponent. So that leaves him up 2 games to 1. He just needs to win one of the next 2 games here to move on into the finals. If you are just joining us, this is the WCG Canada sponsored by Samsung. It is the Western Finals. And of course, well, we're in the semifinals, but it's the Western Finals event. And whoever wins this event will get a paid trip to China for the WCG 2012 Finals. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break as we get our 4th game set up. Don't go anywhere, guys. Still lots of StarCraft 2 action coming here today.
Yep.
I am not just a television. I am a Samsung Smart TV. I am your cheer on Canada and follow Twitter on screen machine. The only question is, where will your passions take us?
You and I have met before, Robin, through the magic of a moment in cyberspace.
Oh my god.